Washington likes to throw to their running backs, and they're very good at getting yardage after the catch. How disciplined do you guys have to be kind of in the flat this week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it all comes down to, the down and distances. They're pretty good at, getting everybody down the field when they're kind of in trouble and getting it to those guys, or just Heinicke, making a play as well. So, definitely keeping, obviously what we call the cup, alive, and when we're, obviously, kind of ballooning out and getting after them is, obviously the game plan. And when we are in times where we're man-to-man against them, obviously take it away right away.
What are you seeing from Heinicke on film?
He's a good player. He makes the right decisions, obviously most of the time, whether it's, through scrambling, who to get the ball to. He's not afraid to take the check down, like you just said, and give it to playmakers who will, make one guy miss and get a first down and, just keeping drives alive, which is, obviously huge in this league.
McKissick for them, Alex, he's been one of the better receiving backs in the league. Hasn't been there for a couple of weeks. May not be back. Them with him versus them without him, how much of a difference does he make?
Yeah, it's huge. Like you just said, he's one of the best receiving backs, in the league, and that alone just puts that extra emphasis on, taking him away and, obviously leaving, other guys, a little more open if you have to, take him out of the backfield. Yeah, I still remember, his first year when we were, with Schwartz, just how much we honed in on him, being a receiver out of college and, him switching over to running back and being able to take that away.
How weird has this week been preparing for Washington?
Yeah, obviously, they have a lot going on there, but, for us, no matter who's going to play, they're going to, play what they play. So we're going to, obviously prepare for what we're going to see, and it doesn't really matter, what guys are going to do it. It's a division game. We haven't won a division game. We need to win a division game, so we're going to, go out and I don't think care too much who's wearing their colors. We're going to, go out and, compete and continue to prepare, to play our best game.
How much of a thought is it inside the building?
Not at all. I think we're taking the precautions to not put us in that situation and just kind of, through the league protocols and then kind of our own, decided as an organization, what to do to make sure that we don't have this kind of stuff happen. And I think that was it. And, we're 100% focused on Washington, not really worried about, all the other stuff going on, especially with them.
In terms of the changes in the building, in terms of protocols, does it feel more like last year than this year in terms of how much the changes have been made?
No. The only, big difference we did was move from the auditorium to the indoor for team meetings and then defensive meetings. So it's not, the biggest difference. I think, it might feel like last year just because that's where we did those meetings last year. But besides that, we obviously the building was, changed so much in the last two off seasons to kind of fit these kind of meeting types, so it's not that big of a difference.
You guys have to guard against kind of thinking that they're not 100%. We can just walk over them. You have to kind of guard against the notion that you can just go out there and play and win.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scariest guy, is that next guy waiting. I think you can prepare. When you can watch a guy play for 2 or 3 years on film, you can kind of learn a lot about that guy. When you just have a guy, everybody thinks it's just some player off the street. Usually they've, been in the building, they've been around the NFL, and it's a guy that's hungry to play, and kind of those are the guys, you just give them an opportunity, usually, show up, spark a little bit. I think we saw it, with Heinicke when he came in, last year, it's just, one of those things, and there's, hundreds of examples of guys like that, and, those are the guys that I always take, into more consideration, because you can know everything a guy does that, plays week in and week out, and a guy that's, obviously this is his first game, you're going to get, the healthiest guy on the field out of that guy, not a guy that's played 15 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You described yourself a little bit, right, at one point in time.
Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. I would be more worried about me when you don't know what's going to happen.
You brought up the lack of division wins. How much does the Giants loss kind of burn within this organization? How much do you guys kind of, not regret obviously, but it's one that got away? Is that something that's discussed?
Yeah, it's not really discussed, but I think we kind of, obviously, we watched it. We played the Jets. We had to go up there and do that again. We've had the bye week, so it's not like, we're not going to let it linger. We know what's in front of us, and we know, if we can take care of business, we get them again, and it can change, completely our division record, where we want to be in the, obviously the playoff race and all that stuff. But it's just got to be 1 week at a time. I think it burns enough where it's like, we got to go do our jobs this week against Washington and not let that happen again. If we're in that situation, to take advantage of our opportunities, step on a team's throat and win that game.
Alex, you were here 2 years ago, obviously, when you guys had to win all 4 games, all division games in order to get in the playoffs. Obviously, this team is a lot younger than the team a couple years ago. Is that something like you talked to with the younger guys about what that kind of atmosphere is like, being in must-win games and all that?
We haven't really yet, because I think we kind of have felt that we've needed to do that already for the past month or so. Obviously, the Giants lost. That's why it felt like such a big loss, is because we felt like we were moving in the right direction where we can make a run here and not lose any more games. So it was just kind of, we're already in that situation. Obviously, guys, I guess, talk about it more in smaller groups. Hasn't been, obviously, new coaching staff. It's not like the coaches are going to come in and say, hey, the 5 of you guys were here in 2019. Remember when you won 4 straight? So it's something, obviously, we know kind of the attitude to take into practices and, those things. And like I said, in this division, you have to win games. Obviously the focus is on winning your division, and now we get that chance, again, like they usually do in the NFC East, and especially for us, they, pack every game at the end of the season. And so, we kind of get the opportunity to kind of control what we can control here.
You mentioned that new coaching staff. Since about week 8, so about halfway through the season, you guys have been a top 10 defense in a lot of categories. Is that just the natural evolution of coaches learning players, players learning coaches?
Yeah, 100%. I think, obviously everything new takes time, and so everyone is just getting comfortable. Everyone's, I think the coaches talked about it forever, playing your role, doing the right things, and just learning all the situations, kind of, and trusting each other, with new schemes. Everyone can know what they're doing on paper. We can sit in a meeting and everyone can tell you exactly what they're doing, but if a certain guy does, one thing in quarters and, and not in 2, and just, little things that you need to feel from that person and play, next to them for a long time. And that's, what you usually get about midseason. And so I think that's where we're starting to click as a defense.
In what ways have you seen the defensive scheme evolve over the course of the year?
I just, not a ton of, evolving, like in a sense of like changing what we're doing. I think we're just playing at more of a consistent basis as a defense. And like I said, everyone's just knowing each other. I think, from the play calling to obviously the other coaches, and then all the way down to us as players, knowing exactly the situations we're all kind of comfortable in, and the stuff and the calls that we should be in certain situations, and taking advantage of that.